Alright, so here we are at your desk.
Yes.
So what exactly is your position here at Hearst Television?
I am a senior financial analyst for Hearst Television. I work for Gina Stanley, your mom.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, I do a lot of the analysis for the month end, for our television stations, all across the U.S.
Okay. Would you consider yourself among the younger employees here?
Yeah, among the younger, on the younger side, yeah.
Okay. What do you think that your age affects like maybe things like your pay or like the amount of respect you get around here or anything like that?
Yeah, I think it affects the the mindset of how people treat younger employees. That they're not mature enough, that they need some seasoning, things like that.
But you're definitely qualified, though. You'd be able to say. Yeah.
I think I am. Yes.
Okay. Do you mind if I look around at your desk for a second? Or?
Be my guest.
What's up with the chains over there? The hand in the chains.
That's pretty much how I feel at work.
Does you feel like they got you chained up by the hands and telling you what to do?
Sometimes some unfair treatment, sometimes some.
Okay. So, the point of this interview is to get to know you a little bit and to get some insight on what it's kind of like as a day in your life. So, I know a little bit about you, and you know a little bit about me, but in what ways would you say we're like different?
Well, I grew up in New York City. I was born and raised here, Lower East Side. A lot of things, obvious physical differences. I'm a lot older than you, so like twice your age, just about. So.
Okay. So you've never lived anywhere besides New York City?
No.
All right. Did you ever find it hard to like live in a place as big as this and like such a big city? Or?
Not really. I mean, I've gone to other cities, like Boston and Philly, and we have those like sports rivalries, and I don't really see the hype with those cities because it's so small compared to this.
Yeah,
I don't know if I could imagine myself living in a smaller place.
Okay. Just do you have any religious like affiliations or?
Agnostic.
Agnostic.
All right. So I believe in a higher being, but I don't choose any man-made religions.
Okay, alright. So, what don't I know about being successful in a corporate office in New York City?
Well, I don't know if I'm successful.
Okay.
What don't you know? Time, you never have enough time. I think the hardest thing to do is balancing your personal life with your professional life. Like, I get up at 5 a.m. and, nowadays I'm here by 7 a.m. So, it is pretty rough. I go to bed around 1, 2. So, just so that I can, give my girlfriend enough time and, my personal life, things I want to keep up with, my reading, everything.
Alright. Do you ever feel like you're stereotyped or discriminated against?
Oh, absolutely.
In the workplace?
In the workplace? Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's not as bad in the workplace because, there are rules against it, but,
never anything too obvious in the workplace.
Yeah, never. I mean, it's subtle, but I mean, it's there. Everything's there.
You can kind of sense it, sort of.
Right. I mean,
feel the pressure.
You take me and you take this whole, Linsanity thing with, Jeremy Lin. I mean, for me, it breaks barriers in terms of, we never had anybody like this growing up. I'm glad to see, like, my little brother, who's around your age, he has someone to, look up to, who's more like him, who he feels is more like him, So for me, it breaks barriers in ways, totally different from what other people can understand. So.
That's good. Do you feel like you're kind of maybe the first one in your family to maybe kind of cross that border, break that barrier a little bit?
Right. So I'm second generation. I'm the first, first one in my family born here.
Uh-huh.
So the life I live is totally different from the life they grew up living. So, you know, the experiences I have are unique to my family so far. I mean, my brother and, you know, my kids afterwards will experience something more, you know, more of the melting pot society than I have. You know.
Where were your parents from?
My parents are from China.
China. So
yeah.
you're Chinese. Your background's Chinese. Okay.
They're Chinese.
Okay. Do you have any specific examples of maybe like a time you were discriminated against in public?
Oh, I mean,
like
I've been
outside of the workplace.
Outside of the workplace as a kid, or
yeah.
I mean.
Oh well, I guess like as a kid, probably growing up.
As a kid, I mean, I've gotten into
all kinds of stuff.
Right, I've been spit on, I've been called all types of names. I mean, I've had to defend myself ever since I was like 7 years old. So there's no, you know, from being bullied to whatever, you know, it's always been there.
Okay. All right, so we spent some time talking now, and I was just wondering, is there anything else that would be a little insight on who you are as a person?
I mean, I like to think that I go out there every day with the attitude to do the world wrong. To basically say that I'm more than you think I am. I'm not, you know, I'm not what you think I am. Because that's the life I've had to live. And I feel like, you know, it's the way I have to live in this society. You know, I hope that one day, you know, it becomes a true melting pot here. But at this point in my life, 33 years in, I don't think that it is yet. And I'll fight anybody that says it's different. I'll argue that to the death. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What are you talking about?
You don't know how to zoom it?
I don't know how to do anything. All right, you know what? This better not become part of the video.
If you press record, it's going to be part of the video.
All right. So anyways, we're just chatting. Don't look at the camera.
Yeah, if it's okay, I'd like to take back all that stuff I said about my boss before.
Hey, what's that supposed to mean? I definitely didn't hear that. I got to go back and listen to that.
Oh, that's all right.
I don't know, the camera might have been off.
Yeah. We were talking about why I have the chains up on my desk.
Why?
No, that was,
I know.
I
made him take it down. You're not supposed to have that in the workplace. So he just hid it instead of taking it down.
Well, I mean, you know, I've had that for 3 jobs now. And all 3 jobs I've had in my professional career, and I think.
So you just feel that working is chaining you too?
I feel like sometimes the oppression is there. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was telling you guys, that when Kilvin called me about, you know, I feel that sometimes race and or being a female can get you ahead. But you're saying that's kind of the opposite for the Chinese man.
People are so scared to be racist that they actually benefit you.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. Honestly, because, you know, but besides that, I think I'm smart enough to be where I am. But I do think, you know, companies feel like they have to have quotas, and not, you know, again, I hate to use the word quota because I think we're a good company, but there are certain expectations of companies.
Right. And you know, it's that way regardless what race you are. But I mean, in today's society, I mean, I don't know. Asian Americans don't get enough shine.
You don't think so?
Yeah.
I think I do.
It's like all these people saying, you know, I brought up the Jeremy Lin thing. You know, it's like
the what thing?
Jeremy Lin.
Oh, okay.
You know, everybody's saying he's getting all this publicity because he's Chinese. You know, he's getting publicity because he's an above-average player.
Exactly. So you're saying that that's bull, but they need to give him credit because credit's due.
Right. And Saturday Night Live had this great skit about it. they were saying like they were doing all the racially insensitive remarks like Linsanity and using his name as a pun.
Right, that in, right.
I think I saw that.
You saw that? Every time they mentioned something that had a black stereotype in it, the two black analysts on the set got offended. And then they talked about how it's Black History Month and how Jackie Robinson paved the way for black athletes and the tolerance that they have towards black athletes nowadays.
Right.
And then they went right back into the puns with the Asian Americans. So, it's
like they don't get it.
Right. I mean, we're not there yet. It's an establishment in the country. And I mean, race is an issue. I think race is an issue all the time. From my first job to this job.
We were talking at home the other night about if we felt that we had been discriminated against.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Me
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So the black and white issue has become a lot more sensitive than everything else.
You know what? See, that's funny because I grew up in the 80s and I think it was a lot worse then than it is now. I mean, I think it was a lot worse.
I was not expecting what happened last week.
What happened? Wait.
The lady from the cops.
Oh, yeah. Did you hear about this?
So I was delivering food for Command Walk, and
Chinese restaurant.
I was at the right building, and it was like this house was divided up into like 4 different apartments. And I went into the back because there was a light was on the back, and I could tell that there were apartments in the back. And so I went and I walked up and I knocked on this lady's door, and she like walked away as I walked up. And I like rang the doorbell like 5 times, and I like knocked on the window and stuff. And then she comes back, she's on the phone, and I was like waving at her like, come here. And then I went back to my car to get my phone to call the number on the slip, the order slip. And as soon as I get out there, the cops like pulled up. And she like thought I was trying to rob her house.
Because there's little young black kids behind her house preparing Chinese food. What did she think? Yeah, ringing the doorbell.
Well, here's the
Hello,
story.
come in, I'm going to ring the bell.
Here's the story to go with that. I mean, that's in open society where you don't necessarily expect people to be tolerant. You kind of, you don't know if they're ignorant or not, and if they are, then it is whatever. But in the workplace, I remember going up, it was my turn to pick up the food. I went downstairs, I signed for the food. This is my first job. I signed for the food. I get up there, and I was fumbling for my ID card. This lady comes out, and she's like, there are no deliveries on here. I cursed her out.
Man.
I cursed her out. I was like, who the hell do you think you are?
Oh, that's messed up.
Right, so, I mean, and there is, in a setting where you expect people to be more sophisticated and less ignorant. So it's everywhere. That's why I say it's everywhere. And this is my first job. This was like 03. So I experienced it in the 80s, I experienced it in the 90s, I experienced it, in the new millennium. So it's still there for me. 33 years old, and I think I can discriminate.
So although this is meant to be that you guys are different, it's really finding out that there's some similarities.
That's my point. Is that I always joke about the hyphenated identity because how we talked about I was second generation, and this means I was the first one born here, so I have to go through certain things that my parents didn't have to go through. But that doesn't mean that I don't go through things that other people haven't gone through. Like the stuff that you guys talked about. I'm not saying it's one and the same, but it's 2 shades of a different color.
That's the